Hey, it's Brad, Jack of all adventures. I am going to do another video on my divorce story. And this is a really strange topic that blows me away. And if you would have asked me a half hour ago if I would have ever made a my divorce story, titled whatever I'm going to title this, I think it's going to be, I don't know. I'll come up with something. But I never would have thought that this would be the topic of my next video. And quite honestly, I still think it's kind of bullshit. But I just I'm preparing to go and represent myself from a divorce hearing today. It's actually going to be the first one in 6 months. I mean, that's a fact for some unknown reason. I'd be interested on people's opinions on why the legal system has taken a month or 6 months to get from one divorce hearing to another one. I don't want to tangent too far, but I could tell you some of the reasons why I suspect that from my my side of things. But because we were given a chance to go to mediation, unfortunately, mediation was shot down because my wife is unreasonable and won't even consider anything other than getting as much as she can that is allowed by the law. And I have significant problems with that because I think the law is incredibly unfair. And if you see some of my other videos, and there's the divorce court movie, it says, the law is what it is to help encourage fighting among clients so lawyers can get more business. And if that is true, the lawyers suffer too. That is what, maybe that's going to be the title of this video. The lawyers, my divorce story, the lawyers suffer too. So what I did less than a half an hour ago was just do a Google search on, hold on a second. I'm switching to screens recording. So I did studies on divorce lawyers creating more stress for their clients. So when we search on this, this just blows my mind. And it's coming out a little bit different than it did when it was in vertical position, the way you would normally use your phone. But I just been reading through some of these things, and basically it's and I don't know if these particular ones will be too or not. But it was all about, lawyers suffering because of the distress they go through working with clients going through difficult times of their lives. And, I can definitely see where it would be hard on well-intentioned lawyers to do this. Now, I will say from my personal experience, my first lawyer, he clearly, let me back up a little bit, because another thing I did is, I've talked, since I've been my own attorney, I've been able to talk to her attorney, and I've recognized, and I'm semi-proud of the fact that, it's not going to be as easy for her attorney to talk to me, the victim of, his helping my wife attack me financially, because that's all they care about. They don't care about who's divorcing, any of the actual personal and emotional issues in the marriage. All they care about is the money. So basically, I do still think the business of divorce profits from creating conflict and helping. We shouldn't have, I guess I'm going to tangent again. We shouldn't have battles when we're getting divorced. And conscious uncoupling, I actually just looked at that book. Came out less than a year ago on April 9th, which happens to be my dad's birthday, by the way, and of last year, 2024. And I don't know how much work is being put into what I'm trying to really do here. I don't want to screw the lawyers over either. I don't want the lawyers screwing the people over. I want a system that if we're not going to have commitment in marriage and we're going to let marriages just break up for no reason, which I mean, that's what no fault divorce does. It gives, people easy outs from their commitment. And, I think those type of situations need to be handled through mutual agreements that can be very complex without, and then I think the two people can figure out what's fair amongst themselves way easier than we can figure out what's fair by letting lawyers fight battles based on a perceived thing. So I guess I am tangenting all over, and I'm sorry about that. That's one reason why you should make these videos right in the middle, while you're in the middle of the fight, because it's really hard to stay concentrated. But so the point I made a little while ago was in discussion with my wife's attorney. I guess it was about 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, right before I had to go to court for contempt because they filed contempt charges on me because I didn't have my stuff appraised. When quite honestly, I thought once we were put into mediation, you can solve. Yeah, here's what. See, it's the tangents because it's such a complex situation. You don't have to have appraisals to conduct the business, to get through a heartfelt, compassionate divorce where you're trying to help each other move through the difficult time. You don't need appraisals on the stuff to figure out what's fair. The business of divorce needs the appraisals to figure out what's fair. So when my wife's attorney requests and orders a specific auctioneer to do the appraisals, yes, I have a very hard time finding compassion for lawyers that struggle because they help people with their divorce. And it is difficult for them to help people with their divorce because it's traumatic, and each litigant of a divorce case is under high emotional distress. So why create business? We need some kind of separate profession besides the law profession to help people dissolve a marriage with no fault. That's my key thing is no fault, no lawyers, because the lawyer business is driven by getting clients and create fighting. And if the lawyers don't want to create the fighting, then they're not successful in their business, or at least in theory. I mean, they don't get as many hours because, well, I don't know, potentially they could get a lot of hours doing it another way too, but a lot of clients won't want to pay them as much if they're just going to try to, I don't know, because this world is driven by, it's like a cash-based society, and if you're not going to help me get more money, then why do I want to hire you, type of thing. And unfortunately, it's the reality of this complex thing. But so I guess this video hasn't gone as productive as I wanted it to when I first, because it did. I don't have the real sympathy for these lawyers. It's not genuine. It's not real. I felt it for a little moment, thinking, but I can quickly give myself reason not to do it, and probably because I'm looking through the world through my own bias, and how it's way more difficult to be a client in a divorce proceeding than the lawyer. And again, I don't know if I've mentioned this before in my videos, but I fired 3 lawyers actually. My first one really wasn't a divorce lawyer, and he might have done the best of the 3 for me in hindsight, but I mean, he was just an injury lawyer, ambulance chaser. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's a reason why lawyers don't feel. A good-hearted person has a very hard time staying a lawyer because lawyers do a lot of bad things. Their profession does a lot of bad things, and I'm sorry, I can't find a lot of compassion for them, especially when my first lawyer helped fan the flames to build the fight instead of help encouraging us to go to mediation and saying, you know what, you guys had a really successful marriage, and I'm sorry to see that you're going through this. Let's try to understand why you're getting divorced, and who wants to stay in a divorce, who wants to stay in a marriage, who doesn't, why are you leaving, stuff like that, so we can figure out a fair way to divide the assets based on your individual situation. And you can sit down in front of a mediator and do that. What doesn't work is telling somebody, you know what, you're entitled to half the marital assets because that's what the law is, and I can get you that, and you hire me and I will make your spouse's life a living hell trying to get you something that you may or may not deserve, because the law is simplified and used in a way to help us get business. I mean, it's really, the movie Divorce Corp really has the only logic. I mean, it just cuts through the BS of why it is what it is. And, conscious uncoupling, the book makes it clear. There needs to be more stuff. We need to put the commitment back in marriage. And if there is fault in the marriage, then, generally those are the ones that need fought by lawyers, and they really need people to defend their positions. My lawyers couldn't defend my position because of what the law is, supposedly. And the law does call for equitable adjustment, and it does call for, finding out what people brought into the marriage and contributed to the marriage. And, a lot of marriages can be complex, and, you got to give a fair amount of credit for somebody that works in the home if they actually do work in the home. Some people are just taken care of in the home, and they don't actually do the housework. They just they don't do their share of what's required to keep a happy home. So yeah, I don't know. That's where every divorce is different, and finding out what's fair in every divorce is different. And to just do 50-50 is incredibly unfair. If all they're going to do is 50-50 and not look into, well, the wife was a drug abuse, or the spouse, let's not say wife. Definitely, I need to do better at clearing that up, because just yesterday, one of my pool customers, one of my clients, was the female, was the breadwinner in the marriage, and she was on the bad end of the divorce. So it doesn't matter, male or female. A lot of it, if you got a spouse that, and in my particular case, wasn't that. I will say, I made it easier for my wife to have, to not work as much. I'll put it that way. She cut her hours way back, and I was looking forward to her doing that because I thought we could spend more time together and do more fun travels and stuff like that, because that's what I don't want to stay at home. Fortunately, she's more of a homebody, and she wants to stay at home, although she says she likes to travel. So there's a lot of weird stuff in my particular case that a really good counselor, or her just sitting down and talking to me after I've gone through a year of missing her and dealing with the stress of the financial loss that is going to hit me because of, what the law allows these lawyers to do. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've babbled around the circle and probably made this ineffective. But it's actually only 11 minutes in, so, we're kind of, I got to piece a couple more parts in. I don't know. Just look at the distress that I am feeling. I can't remotely make a good video. Yeah. The point of the video, in conclusion of the video, I just seen a reason to see the other side of the lawyer-client battle or relationship where the lawyer suffers too. So somehow and actually it's probably going to be the most effective way for me to go into court, is I can't go in there all poor me. To actually have a little bit of sympathy for what the lawyers go through is, probably going to make my position more effective when I go into court today, because I think what I tangented away from that I really should have stayed focused on is, but I think it's like 4 days before I went to court for contempt for not having my stuff appraised. That'll get me on a tangent every time, and I'm not going tangenting. I talked to my wife's attorney, and he's like, we need values. We need values. Well, it'll help the attorneys. If the attorneys are really suffering so much, it would help attorneys to realize you really don't need values to sit down and make a mutual agreement. You only need values if you're trying to split things 50-50, and we don't need to split things 50-50. There's his and her money in a lot of relationships nowadays. And that should factor into a divorce, especially if there's no fault. And you wouldn't have to do 50-50. You wouldn't have to have things valued. I mean, if a couple actually has all shared funds in their marriage, then yeah, that's a marriage where, values on individual things could become important. But it's still the business of divorce, and that's the stuff that the business of divorce does that doesn't need to happen in no fault divorce. So I'll still get tangenting, but I could see that maybe he has some stress in what he's doing, and he can see that what he's doing is, if he doesn't necessarily side with his client, that can create a lot of stress for a lawyer, and but he still feels like he's bound by the ethics of the law to use the law to get his client his best financial settlement as possible. So again, that's why we don't need lawyers in this time of difficulty. But basically he was showing that he wanted sympathy from me because I have a significant amount of disdain for him, and I think rightfully so. I'm not gonna back off on that. But I will roll it back a little bit because of what I just learned today, and the purpose of this video is why you shouldn't hate your lawyers so bad. It's because they do have a difficult position, but the position is partially difficult by them, by the law being what it is, and that's another reason why. He told me, he's like, get the law changed. I am forced to work with the law that I have. What I am doing is, his words were clinical and mechanical. Leave me alone. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do by the clinical and mechanical law. So I don't know. But then he came in and, I guess he did his job. He basically attacked me for doing contempt of court, got the magistrate to require my my appraisals to be done by, he gave me a very short window to come up with somebody else to appraise my stuff. And quite honestly, I don't want anybody to appraise my stuff. I think it is incredibly unjust, given the situation of our marriage, where we had his or her money through the entire thing, and we had it before we got married. And I thought there was commitment in marriage, which there should be commitment in marriage. So, and my wife is perversely incentivized to leave me as opposed to try to work it out because of what the law is. So I think I got plenty of quality reasons to be mad at the law. And I'm going to stop babbling here. And I think I'm probably going to put this one up anyways, even though it's probably really bad. And because it's the honest stress of what I'm dealing with, because of the law being what it is, and the law and society needs to work for conscious uncoupling if there is no fault in marriage and no fault in the divorce. There are better ways to break up, and lawyers clinically and mechanically going through what the law is today is not good for either litigant. That's my real point of all of this. We need to change it so that people break up and they maintain a healthy, there's the emotions are going to run deep, and you're going to be so brokenhearted, and you're going to want the person, just all the stuff that goes into the emotional trauma of a breakup. We don't need the law being part of it like this unless there is fault. So if there's no fault, there's better ways. And we just do it because traditionally lawyers have done it, have been the ones to do it. The smart people don't use lawyers. Unfortunately, my wife is smart, but she's also, I hate to say it, but it doesn't help my position, but she does it out of greed. And I did not see this much greed in her when we got married. And it is what it is. I'm out for now, and hopefully anyone else going through this difficult time, hang in there. I don't know. I guess my advice is try to learn from it. I have grown a lot. I'm just growing by trying to understand the stress that the individual lawyers are in, and but I think there's better ways for them to handle their job. How much time do I got? I don't have my contacts in. I still got 6 minutes. So if you're with me now, let's use another 6 minutes of video that I have left before my phone's out of memory, and I gotta dump it onto external memory device. But if you have a mechanic, and a good ethical mechanic, all they really want to do is fix your cars. And I wonder what percentage of mechanics are just mechanics so they can make money. So if you're a lawyer and you actually want to fix people and help them through their difficult situation, that's a good ethical lawyer. Just like a good ethical mechanic just wants to help the person whose car broke down get it up and running and going again. And they want to make money in their business as they're doing it. So they deserve to be compensated for the amount of time and effort that they put in to try to actually fix the car. Or, we'll stay with the mechanic thing, and you can allow you to draw the lawyer reference in. So unfortunately, how many of us know a good car mechanic that will just fix your problem and not try to create additional expenses when you take your car in there to be fixed? We've normalized the capitalistic society of upselling and trying to sell more business. So when you go into your car mechanic, especially dealers, car dealerships, and they promote unnecessary maintenance sometimes just to create business for themselves. And a lot of people are more than happy and willing to pay that money, but others aren't. And and a lot of these, this is going to be great for my wife to watch, because I'd go in there and I'd sit there and listen to the stuff that they wanted to have done, and to me it was pretty obvious that it was an upsell, and they were just trying to create business that didn't necessarily need to be done. And my wife was very appreciative of having me with her to help her not get caught in the trap. So, so then you got the normal business practicing, not necessarily unethical, but they're not ethical mechanics when they're sitting there trying to upsell you whenever you walk in the door. I think that's where most lawyers are. They're not the real ethical ones. They're really, but I don't know if the employees of these car dealerships that know that they're pushing services that might not really be necessary, but they make a lot of money on it. You can probably factor this into most all professions. Being a car mechanic's probably the easy one to do it. If you got a small mechanic that works for himself, if he, an unethical car mechanic can unplug spark plug wire when he's fixing your car, and then you're going to bring it back pretty soon because it's not running quite right. And then he might do some diagnosis and all that. And, I wonder what would happen if somebody actually got caught taking a spark plug wire off so they can get repeat business. Here's a red flag for you. This is one of my things going into the end process of my first lawyer. He was trying to tell me, I know this is going to be tough. I'll help get you through this. I'll do whatever you just let me take care of this and I'll get you your best results. And, I know you feel heartbroken right now, but just realize that once you get divorced, you can always remarry her. Yeah. Is that not the red flag of a scumbag that's looking for business? I don't know. If you're a good person, you don't want to be a lawyer. Just don't even go into the business. You got to they're just not good people. I'm sorry. And somehow I started this wanting to have compassion for lawyers. I don't know, my experience has been so bad. I can't do that. And I'm out for now. And look at that. I got less than a minute left. I've used it all. I did have a minute to thank you for watching all this video if you did. Like and subscribe to my channel. Maybe someday, I don't know, maybe I'll make some quality content. It is a little bit of a desire of mine to do the car camping and the traveling and have a bunch of fun adventures and not be divorcing and making videos like this. So maybe someday I'll make fun videos as a good purpose of just a reason to have fun. And please like and subscribe to the channel. Check it out. See if you like my content. Try to be more positive than negative. That's what I'm trying to do in my life. And, unfortunately, I got a family history and bad habits of being more negative than positive. And that's a tough change to do. But I think we can all strive for that. We'll be much happier people if we learn to be positive instead of negative. And look in this video, I couldn't stay positive. I just couldn't stay positive. But do your best, keep the faith, stay positive, and I am out for now.